Switch Clicks Podcast, episode 96, recorded on August 10th, 2022. In this episode, we'll be discussing the Splatoon 3 Direct that was live streamed earlier today. My name is Dakota, and today I'm joined by Nathan.
Hello there.
So, just a few hours ago, a Splatoon 3 Direct finally happened, kind of a month out of the release. Going into the Direct, we were really hoping to see a lot more to sell us that it is another sequel to Splatoon and not just another half step.
Exactly.
And I don't know, going into it, my initial reaction to the entire thing is it's still a half step, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not really granted another number, but they still have my money.
Yeah, they also have my money. I'll blindly pay money for them. It's just this everything we saw in this was more or less just, something that could have been added in a content update, or, it's a quality of life improvement. Nothing else really substantial.
Yeah, but it's not like Nintendo isn't known for doing this. They resell games all the time with slight differences. So it's almost just the classic Nintendo seeping through.
It's just, at least Splatoon isn't a somewhat annual franchise like something like Call of Duty is.
Yeah. Well, you never know, it might become one every
I will be
5
very
years.
scared. I will be very scared if that was the case.
Well, we might as well get started right now because there is actually a lot to get through.
Despite being apparently a half step, they showcased a ton of new stuff in this game. The very first thing, actually, I think, Dakota, you brought this up in the last time we talked about this game. It was about the weapons and how you unlock them.
Oh yeah, I think I don't even remember the last time we talked about this game, honestly. But it was probably something to do with the Nintendo Switch Sports, how they unlock I guess with the cosmetics. And it was really interesting that they could do like the bingo sheet thing. And luckily they did change it in this game, and it seems to be that I guess when you play games and you maybe level up, you get these licenses to get the weapons. And if you're at a current level for a current weapon that is like in your, I guess, level area, it's only one license. But if you want to get any other weapons that are in future levels, you can spend more of those licenses to get them early, which is actually really interesting, depending on how fast you get those licenses.
Mm-hmm. I think this is like a very interesting way of kind of motivating players to actually level up rather than just make money and buy weapons.
Yeah, because almost in the previous games, you got money blindly, and you didn't really know when you were going to get to your next thing, so you couldn't gauge how much you needed to play. And that's what kind of killed the motivation for me.
Mm-hmm. Like, no one wanted to get all the way up to like a star level 99 just to unlock a weapon or something like that. Like you, like, by that time you hit it, you probably already like unlocked every single weapon by, I don't know, like level 30 or something. Here, there's actually a reason to level up, and I think this kind of did take some inspiration from other shooter games. I know some of them did drop the whole in-game currency for a token purchase system. I think Call of Duty did this when Modern Warfare 3 hits. I think, I'm not sure about the other ones so specifically, but like, I'm glad that they kind of abandoned the in-game currency when it comes to weapons, because in that sense, like, weapons are probably the focal point to how progression plays, especially in a game like Splatoon where you have so many different weapons.
And again, like, yeah, you can always gauge on how many you'll need to get to a certain thing. Not, I need $2,300 for this certain one and $2,500 for this one, and then you're gonna have to memorize. I'm not too into this stuff. I don't really care about the different weapons, but I guess they confirmed ones that are coming back and some that are
nothing new. I mean, you got your bow and arrow style stringers and your katana style splatanas, which actually kind of remind me of Breath of the Wild a bit. But other than that, every weapon kind of stays the same. Like, they get new specials, old specials, more or less the same gear. That's kind of where like the whole idea of being a half step comes into play. Like, this could have been easily added to Splatoon 2 if they wanted to.
Yeah, And I guess they're probably keeping a decent amount of those new weapons, probably for post-game content.
Yeah.
Just to satisfy that part, because they got to have some kind of thing down the pipeline eventually.
Yeah.
Some of the other changes were significant changes, I would say, were the practice match area, which wasn't very clear in the presentation, but it looks like you can join other people in the practice match area.
Yeah, so basically it's kind of like a small hub that you can wait. Like, think of it like if you're in a Minecraft server and you're kind of hanging out in this area before your match begins. It's basically kind of like that. Instead of having to go to like the weapon store and then select practice, you can just wait for a match and play this instead.
That's a lot better, because I know that early Splatoon 2 days, the matchmaking was super long for some reason, and they eventually fixed it.
Yeah, but even so, it was still a bit of a chore to wait. Like,
yeah, and it was just a loading screen you're looking at. You're not even looking at anything special.
Yeah, and like looking back at Splatoon 1, you were given an arcade game to play, but it was just an arcade game. It wasn't anything that was productive towards your actual gameplay.
Yeah, and it's cool that we can actually interact with, it looks like, other players.
Yeah, it's like a weird way of doing it. Like, they put ghosts there. I guess it's a bit of a step up from something like Smash Ultimate, where they kind of had that practice room.
Oh yeah.
But I definitely think this is one of the things that also could have been easily added in if they wanted to. Not saying they have to. It's just it's a quality of life improvement.
Another quality of life improvement would be the join battles option. That also wasn't clear to me, but it looks like you can see your friends in the main, I guess, what was it called, Splatville?
Yeah,
and you can join them.
Apparently, you can join them in lobbies. Definitely not during a match, but like if they're waiting in a lobby, you can join in and avoid having to, join in legitimately on their same team rather than just joining them.
Yeah, which seems a little bit weird, because I don't know how big of a gap there is to jump in with somebody. Like, it has to be at the end and at the beginning of a battle.
I think so too. Like, I think there's going to be a huge, there's going to be like a really small window for you to join.
Unless it gives us like a little notification on our, what was it, a Sea Cucumber phone that says, hey, Modded Inkling is playing the game. It's like, okay, I can jump in quickly. If it can do something like that, then it makes sense. But kind of randomly coming across it, it's a little odd.
Yeah, especially considering how Splatoon 2, how difficult it was in Splatoon 2. Like, you were just put on queue, basically.
Yeah. Another thing they introduce is battle replays, which is a long time coming, but I also don't see a use for it much, other than esports.
Time. Well, yeah. I mean, it's better than having to send like 30-second clips of your game, I guess, if you wanted to upload YouTube videos.
Yeah, it's kind of just another play by Nintendo to push it for the esports.
Not much to say about that. It's just a thing that they should have added earlier on, but better late than never.
Yeah, if they have maybe like custom camera angles you can put, then it'll make a lot more sense.
I think that's what they're going for here. Maybe they'll have that, because I know
it wasn't very clear.
Yeah, I know you'll be able to change the other players' perspectives, but we'll have to see how that works out. Now, I think this next one here is actually a bit of a social aspect. I'm not sure if it's that strategic or not, but you can basically showcase what gear you have using these so-called lockers, and then you can get to check other lockers and see what other players have. And I think you can purchase like a bunch of cosmetic items to customize your locker.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool concept at a base level, but then again, most of the customization really looks better on your actual Inkling, Octoling character.
Yeah, when they introduced that, I, first of all, as an Animal Crossing fan and a customization fan, I love this idea. But after the fact, I'm like, what's the point of it? If I'm using my credits or my coins for these stickers on my locker, or to put a put a skateboard in my locker.
Yeah.
What's the point other than going into this locker area and looking at other people's? Like,
Exactly.
if there's some like, I think I noticed they were putting the skateboard in, and it had some physics to it. It would like fall over on one side, and then they adjusted it to fall on the other side.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we can like stack a decent amount in there, and people can make like art out of it almost.
I
Because
mean,
that
like,
could be interesting.
it only goes so far though, because like, you know what everyone was kind of requesting for? They were kind of looking for making Splatoon a bit of a social game, and then having you decorate a condo or apartment instead. And
Yeah.
like, what if they? I mean, they could probably do it in the future for sure, but maybe this is a step forward in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm sure in a Splatoon 4 or 5 they'll like gather up to that, and the game will become a more of a there's a word for it in the gaming industry, but like an evergreen game where they're gonna constantly update it, and they're basically just gonna port it to the next thing, and you keep all your progress. But in these games, you lock your progress to each of these games, and then you can gather enough stuff to decorate a room. But in this case, they're just doing a locker.
Yeah, like just a freaking locker.
Yeah, and I honestly don't see myself coming back to the locker to fill it up unless there's like special items that you get for playing the Splatfest or whatnot.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And speaking of special items, they also had another thing for cosmetics. It's splash tags. Basically, it's the same thing as what you get in like your player card on Call of Duty, or maybe your like your emotes on Fortnite. Basically, customize a banner. You add a banner background, a badge, a title. Pretty much your run of the mill multiplayer game banner. About time they did this too. Like, I mean, they could have done this a long time ago, but once again, better late than never.
Yeah, it is kind of the current trend, like in Valorant, Call of Duty. It's just another thing to sell to the customer. But luckily, Nintendo hasn't got to microtransactions yet, so.
Thank God. I know, right?
And they knew exactly what they were doing, calling it a splash tag. That was perfect.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore.
I'm just hoping there's some unique banners, not just, okay, you have 40 different striped banners and 40 different polka dot banners, and that's it.
They should have like a bunch of designs and maybe some still images or even moving images to make it look a little cooler. I
Like
hope
even Nintendo references they could work in.
Yeah, exactly. Like they should just throw in a bunch of Nintendo references through there. Maybe have like a Pokeball there, or maybe a couple, maybe like Mario, like an inkling Mario jumping through.
Yeah,
They could
even
do
has some
anything.
references.
They could do anything. Well,
Now
speaking of speaking of anything,
literally anything.
They also decided to add a very trendy feature found in many modern shooter games. I think this was the thing that ultimately made me start enjoying the live stream a bit more. Let's just say they decided to add emotes in Splatoon 3. And not just any emotes, they decided to add in a very specific one. They Dakota, you're gonna have to put this up in the video, but they made an inkling dab, like freaking a dabbing like the inkling from Splatoon 3's trailer doing a dab.
It's crazy that they just showed that as the initial reveal, and it wasn't just, oh, you can do a bunch of emotes, and then they show it in succession. It's just hidden in there. No, that was the first thing they showed.
They straight up went for the dab.
And I couldn't really see any other ones, but I did notice that in like the main Splatville, that most of the inklings around you weren't just sitting down and just not doing anything, but they were probably using the same animations and probably the emotes that they have.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
Yeah, and they definitely added a few more in there. Like you'll probably notice it if you give it a second watch. There was actually one cool animation I found when they were showcasing the Splatfest. There was actually an inkling doing the Macarena in the midst of a Splatfest.
I'm sure they'll probably find as many dance moves that they can get.
That kind of scares me. That kind of scares me. What else could they? What else can they do? If they floss, I will freaking die. If I see
Oh
an
no.
inkling flossing, I will freaking flip tables.
And I'm hoping that these new updates in the future will have like a batch of updates and not just, hey, we're adding one more weapon. And we'll
Yeah.
have like, oh, okay, we're adding one weapon, a handful
Mhm.
of player cards, a few more emotes, maybe
Yeah.
some more stuff, but give me like batches of stuff instead of
Yeah.
drips.
Yeah. Make it something substantial. Make each update substantial.
Something that is somewhat substantial, and I couldn't really tell what angle they were going at, but they
Mhm.
have a new like side mode. It's the arcade game of this game. It's called Table Turf Battle, which is essentially just a 1v1 Tetris Turf War card game, which looked pretty cool, but I don't think anybody's going to really focus on it.
It could have been a mobile game.
I think it would have been really fun as a mobile game, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But on Splatoon, I'm not so sure if it fits well.
Yeah. Maybe if I get some stuff by playing it, or you can play against your friends. It
Mhm.
wasn't clear if you could play against your friends or if it was just bots.
Right, yeah, they definitely do. It's definitely like a surface level thing. They now it's like they didn't even have an English logo. They still had the Japanese logo for it.
Yeah, and you could kind of see during the gameplay of them, like your character talking to the other bigger character. I don't know, the fish guy.
Yeah,
In the background, a lot of the models were really rough, so that is still in like early development, I think.
mhm.
Hopefully, it looks a lot better in the main game. Otherwise, yikes.
Yeah, that's what I noticed with most of the animations in this game. Like they do look unfinished, like the 5 FPS animations that you see in the background.
Yeah,
There's a lot of NPCs doing that, so it's probably gonna go. It's your run of the mill really development. We'll see what happens.
I mean they're a month out. I hope they can fix it by then.
So the next thing they introduced to us, well, I guess they just kind of showcased it. What it was, Salmon Run again. This time they decided to make it a bit more like in line with most PVE games and add a boss fight at the ending of some matches that you get to play. Typical boss fight health bar. As well, it's like really really difficult, and you all have to work together to fight it. Um, I Once again, it's like better late than ever.
Mhm.
There's really not much to say because like there were technically already boss rounds during Salmon Run, but I guess this is a tiny step up from what we previously experienced. Um, and I don't know, it's becoming what it should be.
Yeah, and it still kind of has that limit of, it looks like it's still scheduled throughout the day, which is weird. They
Yeah.
didn't really clarify that, but
Hmm.
and it does seem that the final boss is random. It'll show up
Yep.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And the amount of damage they were doing to that initial boss was like nothing, and it didn't look
Yeah.
like it was attacking much. So I hope
Mhm.
there's different varieties of the final boss.
Yeah.
And it also looks like the final boss happens at the same time as a third round or an extra fourth round, with
Yep.
other stuff trying to kill you as well.
Yep.
So it's gonna, like, the initial Salmon Run was already chaotic as it is, and if they
Yes.
add this extra boss that's gonna do a bunch of extra stuff, holy moly!
Oh dear God, help us.
At least
There
they
is a
do have the extra kind of thing where you can
yeah.
grab a golden orb and then throw it at them for extra damage. And they said massive damage, but it barely moved on that health bar.
No, yeah, it did nothing. Like I I don't know what they're saying from there. Maybe something we'll see later on, but definitely not that shot that they showed us.
Yeah, it is definitely helpful because I don't think if you got like extra gold orb, you got much, right? In the original game?
No, it just kind of you just kind of flexed with it.
Oh yeah, there was that like bar that if you get to the end, you get one piece of clothing, right?
Yeah, you get like a bunch of bonuses, but like that really didn't really say much for a game where you could easily get them, but just by grinding
Yeah.
games over and over again. Like that just saves time.
Hopefully they change that because that was not a
Yeah,
great progression
no,
system.
not a great system at all. No. Um, there is one other thing they showcased, and that was something called Big Run, which I don't understand other than that it's a limited, like a event based thing where basically you get to play Salmon Run in a multiplayer map, and they're kind of like zombies at this point.
Mm-hmm. It looked kind of cool. Like, I thought it was just gonna be a brand new map.
Yeah.
But if they were like taking the current multiplayer turf war maps and just throwing them in, that would be pretty cool. It's similar to like maybe a more common Splatfest.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey,
They just have
maybe.
to make the progression system in that game mode really good.
Yeah.
Because it was complete garbage in the first one.
It was definitely
second.
garbage. No, it was very much like an arcadey type of game.
A game mode that was not garbage in either of the games, plus a DLC, was the single player story mode.
Debatable.
I mean, depending on how you play it, but I really liked all of them, so.
I freaking got 1,000% fresh Splatoon 2. I was bored as hell trying to play through that. Octo expansion was fine. I'm just very skeptical about Splatoon 3's story mode because it looks roughly the same as the last two, and I kind of hoped that it was going to innovate more outside of just straight up Super Mario 3D World style platforming.
Yeah.
And
Well, they did kind of show off not very much, and I assume they show off early levels in advertising. So
yeah, I just really hope it's just not damn platforming, because I mean it's just platforming. Like, what can you do with that if there's so much more to do?
Yeah, and kind of at the end they threw in that it's the finale story at the end of a saga. I think they said.
Yeah, that's scary. That's the only thing that actually interests me the most, because this is like early Splatoon. We don't really know what's going on. Like, this could just be the squid arc of Splatoon, and then they could go into something a little more. I don't know how to describe it, but mammalian. There's a lot to go off of from here. But Splatoon lore in a nutshell is already crazy enough. What if this is a finale to that arc? What's gonna happen?
And that kind of that made me think like, okay, if we get 3 games within 8 years, we might get another game in the next 5 years. Will that be a total remix of Splatoon? Because it's kind of sad that we already need like a game changing change to the formula.
Yeah.
Because most Nintendo series go like 20, 30 years until we really get a refresh. But we're 8 years in and we kind of need one.
Yeah, we already desperately need one, for sure.
But it kind of makes me think like, oh, maybe they're going to try to finish off the story and then they're just going to introduce all of their ideas and see what sticks for Splatoon 6. Yeah. So.
yeah, that's the big ambitious one. I don't know what can happen, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, that's pretty much as far as they really went in terms of what what's new. They're obviously bringing back the mailbox feature, like the Miiverse replacements, basically.
Yep, with vertical images now.
Yeah, vertical images. Next thing they did was multiplayer. Local multiplayer is the same thing, as in you need to buy another Switch console to play. So, too bad, no split screen for the people who want to play on the couch.
Which is kind of fine, because split screen has kind of died off anyway. It's not that very common nowadays.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Okay, Mario Kart, that's a party game.
The next thing they have is photo mode, so now you don't need to get freaking amiibos to do that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad they added that in, because we really desperately needed some kind of photo feature. Splatnet 3, Nintendo Switch Online app. Nothing new. You can just get like exclusive stuff and do challenges.
Yeah, I initially just used that app to look at the shop every day and buy it, because you could use it for that. That was super useful.
Yeah. And then of course there's Amiibo, Dakota.
No amiibo!
Free new amiibo. Instantly, Dakota's instantly gonna buy them. And
Heck yeah, I am.
And he's never gonna open those unless he gets a second pair.
I mean, maybe these amiibo look beautiful.
Yeah,
It looks.
yeah.
I don't know what they did, but the models look so much better than the generic previous ones.
I think they invested a lot more on it because I know ever since like Link's Awakening, they started making amiibo a lot more true to the in-game characters, basically.
For sure, yeah. I'm just super excited, and it's releasing in the winter, so I don't have to spend like $150 in a single day. It's amazing.
Get it as a Christmas gift.
Maybe.
Oh well, yeah. If it doesn't get scalped, it's gonna get scalped. So good luck. Good luck getting that. They also announced DLC. Not surprised. I mean, they already teased what it's going to be about, Pearl Marina. So I don't have much to say about that. But they also gave us new celebrities, obviously. These ones, they kind of look like I don't know how to describe them, but they're very different. And
yeah.
but their style of music is definitely closer to J-pop, I think.
Yeah, I could hear a little bit of it was definitely J-pop with crap, I forgot the word now. But yeah, it was definitely J-pop.
Yeah, and then I think the Splatfest music in particular kind of sounded a bit like Omar's music.
Yeah, and they were kind of using some classic Japanese sounds in the music for the Splatfest.
Yeah. Oh, and they also use air horns.
I mean, I think they used air horns for Splatoon 2 as well, because Pearl was kind of like a chaotic gremlin.
I don't remember hearing air horns for Pearl, but I'll have to check back. Those I also wasn't expecting it, to be honest. It's one of those trendy internet things that just you don't expect Nintendo to do, but then they suddenly do.
The last tiny thing they announced was the initial loading screen and showing the news of what the new maps of the day are and what the game modes of the day. You can skip that entirely and just have it play in the background while you walk over.
Thank gosh.
Yes.
Well, thank gosh. To be honest, like I don't want to spam A all the way through.
Am I crazier? Did they add a speed function in the second game or no?
That's only for Sheldon.
Oh yeah. Well, finally.
Let's hope we don't have to go through that again with Sheldon. Hopefully, there's just a complete skip button.
Yeah, it'd be weird to remove it afterwards.
Yeah. Right, I forgot there is actually one other big thing they kind of revealed in this direct. 3 teams in Turf War. I think it's during Splatfests, but basically you get a 3-team Turf War.
Yeah, and it's only in Splatfests.
It's only in Splatfests, but basically you have the leading team defending the map, and then two other teams start on the sides, and they try to like take down the team while gaining on their own team. On paper, it sounds crazy. I'm just not sure how it's gonna work because they didn't really say too much about it.
Yeah, now that they split it into like 3 teams, the balancing is a lot different.
Yes.
Considering like, okay, if it's between 2 teams and it's versus red and blue, it's usually around a 50-50. I think the max that it really got to, the choice-wise, was like 45 was like the max, 45-55.
Yeah.
But now you have 3, like rock, paper, scissors is the next Splatfest that they announced. And I think that's for the test splat or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the test fire.
Yeah, which they didn't really call it the test fire, but it's later this month.
Yep.
But I think it's going to be almost in balance now.
Well, yeah, because it's 33, 33, and 34 to split it up at the minimum.
Yeah, and if one's in the lead the entire time, and in this 3-team turf war, it's 4 of the top team versus 2 each of the other 2 teams.
Exactly.
So it's still 8 players total, which is really weird. But if you're doing like a King of the Hill style, it's somewhat understandable.
And I have seen like teams with less people actually make it out of like a turf war battle. Like it's not impossible, but it's definitely going to be chaos.
Yeah, and splitting the Splatfest into 3 really opens it up to more choices. Like now we have, I don't know what comes in 3s.
What comes in 3s? Red, blue, yellow.
I guess they could do another Pokemon one.
Blue, Pokemon blue, red, green.
Splatoon 1, Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3.
Are there any Nickelodeon things that have 3 characters? Because they seem to do like occasional Nickelodeon collabs.
Not really. I can't really think of 3.
Yeah.
Maybe like Squidward, SpongeBob, and Patrick.
Yeah, if they bring back SpongeBob, then that'd be nice.
Yeah, apples, pears, oranges.
Right.
It could go definitely a few ways.
Ketchup, mustard, mayo? Ketchup, mustard, relish?
We're kind of just adding a third one to all the ones that they did previously.
Yeah, like what else could be? Oh, power, courage, wisdom. Boom.
Oh,
boom.
That's a good one. I was just thinking, like, how would you want your potato? Mashed, fried, baked.
Mashed, fried, baked is actually a good one. I think that could work as well.
But I have a question for rock, paper, and scissors. Which team will you be on?
You know what? Scissors. And there's only one reason why. There's only one reason why. Big man, the third idol in this game. Freaking I didn't ask for a manta ray to be a freaking celebrity, but you know what? I'll support him all the way.
I think I'm realistically on Team Rock.
Realistically, I would be on Team Rock, but just for the sake of Big Man, I don't know why they named him that.
Because he's a manta ray, so he's a big manta ray.
For the sake of that, I'll support Team Scissors. I just can't wait to see what happens in later Splatfest.
Yeah. Speaking of puns, I think I loved one of the puns. I think it was the shoe shop guy, and I think the name of his store was like Crustacean, some kind of pun on crustacean.
Oh yeah.
And it was like Crew Station or something.
Yeah.
That was perfect. I don't know how they come up with these things because they have to first come up with it in Japanese.
And then they have to come up with some localized version too.
Yeah.
And I heard that even North American and European English ones are different from each other. Like apparently they actually have their own different puns.
Yeah, and the UK version of this presentation was slightly different. All the characters' names were slightly different. Well, I think that is all. I'm now pretty hyped for the game. The money is already in their pocket, so...
Money is already in their pockets from me, too. I just need to worry about Nintendo Switch Online. Don't like mentioning that, but, that's the truth. But yeah, I'm pretty sold on this game, even though it's a half step.
Yeah, I just hope that there's enough updates every once in a while.
Yes, please give us substantial updates, and give us enough updates too. I don't want to have the game die out really quick.
Well, they did say up to 2 years we're gonna get those new catalogs, which 2 years is not enough.
2 years is not enough, and they did that last 2 times. I don't know, Splatoon 4, 24, 25?
Nah, we're gonna be waiting until 2026 or 7, probably a new console if anything.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 3 Splatoon games on the Switch. Do you think so?
No, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Mark's the Wii U and Switch are kind of in one generation according to many people, so we'll have to see.
Well, thank you for joining us and discussing the Splatoon 3 Direct. We'd love it if you could follow us on Twitter and listen to future episodes on Spotify and iTunes. Join our community Discord server to continue today's discussion. And we'll see you next time on the Switch Clicks podcast.